Let's see.
All right, you there?
Yes, yes. I'll just check if it works on YouTube. Let's see. Yes, it works.
Cool.
All right, I will start with my opening statements. All right. So before any argument can begin, there must be something to argue about. Thought, doubt, and proof must presuppose that something exists. That's why philosophy must begin with existence. The axiom of existence. Existence exists. It is the recognition that something is. Any denial has to exist. And then the axiom of identity. Existence is identity. This is not an additional axiom, but an unpacking of what existence means. Well, this is an axiom. Okay. If something exists, it must be something specific. Denying identity is just denying existence under another name. But existence cannot be denied. Therefore, whatever exists has identity. The LOI is the logical expression of the metaphysical axiom that existence is identity. And the LNC, a thing cannot be A and not A at the same time in the same respect. Just to assert that it is both is and is not A is to assert that it is both, that it both has and lacks the same identity, which negates identity itself. Logic is not a floating system. Logic is the art of non-contradictory identification, grounded in the fact that existence is identity. This means that logic is grounded in metaphysics. It does not govern reality, it conforms to it. It is epistemic. Consciousness is what does the identifying. LXM, the law excluded middle. For any definite identity, the alternatives are exhaustive, either A or non-A. A third option would require something to both possess and not possess the same identity, which violates the LNC. All proof presupposes existence, identity, and logic. To prove something, you must exist and use logic. Each of these already assumes the axioms. Demanding proof of the axioms is a category error. I can't say it. Because proof already presupposes existence, identity, and logic. They are the preconditions of proof or for proof, not its products. No disciplines escapes the axioms because no cognition escapes reality. Reality being existence. Direct realism. Perception is direct awareness of reality, not awareness of internal representations or a copy of the world. We do not perceive sense data or appearances. In other words, we do not perceive our perceptions. If perception were awareness of representations, knowledge would collapse into infinite regress or arbitrariness. All proof requires evidence. All evidence ultimately reduces to perception. If perception were not of direct awareness of reality, there would be no access to reality at all. If there is no access to reality, no belief can be validated, including skepticism itself, which is a knowledge claim. Therefore, skepticism about perception undercuts its own claim to knowledge. The attempt to deny direct realism presupposes direct realism. Perception must give awareness of reality, not merely inner states. Otherwise, truth becomes impossible. So, if perception were indirect, proof would be impossible. Any argument relies on observed facts. That's it.
All right, it's fine. Do you want me to give everything I noted like all at once, or should we just like go through it systematically?
We can go systematically if we want to.
Okay, the first point I want to go over was when you said that laws of logic seem to epistemically conform to reality rather than dictate reality. This seems to go against my understanding of what logical realism entails. I'll just give my understanding of it, maybe you can give yours and explain how it does not entail a seeming contradiction. All I take logical realism to be is that there exists in reality's fundamental constitution, the classical laws of logic, right, as stands independent truths that we easily discover. But when you say that they epistemically conform to reality, That seems to me to be the case. You're saying that reality dictates the laws of logic, and laws of logic are not part of the fundamental constitution of reality. Could you give me your definition on logical realism here, just real quick?
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a misunderstanding then, but yeah, that's basically my understanding of direct logical realism. That it is
Okay, that's just like
conforming
a
to
like an
reality.
error and like your accountant, it's like a
Yeah,
misspeak, whatever. All right,
yeah, I
that's fine.
guess. Yeah.
Second point
Well,
is
yeah, I would
you
say
can go.
it's a
It's fine.
type of realism. Sorry, think it's a type of realism like that logic is has grounding in reality in that sense, but I guess not technically what you had in mind. So
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, logic can be grounded in reality, but that's fine. Okay, and of
right.
course, second point. Obviously, this presumes classical, quote unquote, Aristotelian logic, so the three laws of logic. Do you have any defeater for other forms of logic like paraconsistent, fuzzy, or just and these other types, or maybe an argument for affirming classical logic over the others?
Yeah, like because all assertions basically presuppose the axioms, and one of the axioms is the axiom and also the law of identity. Two aspects of the same thing, one being metaphysical, the other epistemic. Um, and like a corollary of the law of identity is the law of non-contradiction. And if you have multiple logical systems that contradict, they cannot all be true. There's just has to be one. But of course, if you hold a different logic, of course that says that you can, and yeah. But
Well, if I hold a different logic, like paraconsistent logic, presumably I can derive a true contradiction, right? In which case you would have, x being x and not x. What I'm confused as there is to how you, um,
like, what would
justify.
that even mean? What are you
Well,
identifying?
that's not the point. It's an undercutting defeater to the argument, right? It's not going to prove your argument false, but it makes it unjustified if you don't address the defeater.
What is undercutting defeater?
All an undercutting defeater is just if this thing is not addressed, then we are not justified in believing in P. I'll give you an example. Um, if you do not prove dialetheism false, that is, they can obtain true contradictions, then we're not justified in believing in the LNC.
What is dialetheism?
Dialetheism is just up in the chat. You can spell it. Just the position that true contradictions can obtain.
Okay,
Right.
so
If I don't
undercutting.
accept the LNC, yeah, if I don't accept the LNC like immediately, right? Like bringing dialetheism up is not going to prove the LNC false, right? But if you're affirming the LNC, it would be your burden to attack dialetheism or prove it false in some manner.
Oh
Right? That's
yeah,
just how
yeah.
an undercurrent
Like
defeater works.
right. So the the reason yeah. So like some argument is that you perceive the axiom basically. You get that from direct awareness of reality. When you perceive something, and you perceive something in particular. The something in particular part is the identity. It is something that you're perceiving, and
Okay,
from
so yeah.
and from
Well,
identity you can derive the corollary, which is the law of non-contradiction basically.
well, as far as I'm concerned, even under a direct realistic account of perception, which I don't accept, but presuming that even if I did, it seems to me that like David Hume's account of its perception, that is, experience only tells us what is the case, not what will be the case. Unless you can prove to me, right, that classical logic obtains over paraconsistent logic, I'm not sure what direct realism would have to do with it. I think here, especially if
um
you're deriving a necessary condition, right?
you mentioned Hume. Like I'm not claiming Hume. I'm not exactly sure what you said about Hume.
Well, all I'm bringing up Hume is to show that we cannot derive, unless you presuppose that we cannot derive necessary things from experience, which only contains contingent things. Obviously, under your framework, right, experience does contain necessary things, but it seems to me you have to prove that reality contains these necessary things, that we can observe them before you can say that we observe them, therefore it is true. Because if you just say, right, that like we observe 1 trillion rocks, and all rocks are identical to themselves. That doesn't mean we can affirm the LOI as a necessary condition, right?
Yeah, the necessary contingent thing. Yeah. I should have looked at. Okay. Um. Yeah. What did it mean to be contingent? I know it's a basic thing, but like I forgotten. So.
I'll like all contingent means is that um like in terms of experience, like that it could fail to obtain, right? Like the swan I see in front of me could fail to obtain. My computer could fail to obtain, right? These things are not necessary. There's nothing. Maybe like their essence is not identical to their existence. Maybe their denial entails a contradiction, right? Any one of these things, right? And all Hume is pointing out is that experience does not contain these necessary things. Experience only contains contingent things, such that when we derive a necessary thing, maybe like the example he uses is causation. We're unjustified in doing so because experience does not reveal those necessary things. All I'm saying here in regards to that is that you're using experience to justify a necessary thing like the LOI, for instance, right? My issue with that is unless you already presuppose that the LOI is true and obtains in reality, um, you cannot use that proof, right? So you need to prove it to be true, and then we have direct access to it via our sense perceptions, rather than using our sense perceptions to prove that it is true.
I'll rather attack the causation thing that you mentioned there. We can go back to the other thing if you want. Um.
We can do whatever you
So
want, bro.
yeah. So like I'd say causation too. Like you can do the affirmation through denial even with causation. Uh. You have to know that um you know saying things like that you know you have to know that your thoughts can cause you to say things, right? That's already like presupposed in
Well,
like
mm,
denying causation.
well, all Hume says with regards to causation is, for example, if I drop from my hand a rock,
Mm.
one, 1 million times doesn't really matter. I'm not justified in saying that it will drop. I'm justified in saying it probably will drop, right? It seems probable based on what's happened. There seems to be a habit here that it will drop, but I cannot say for certain that it will drop, such that I cannot
Without
derive the
certain
necessary condition.
without certainty you can't even have probability. There's no
Wait, what?
you can't measure it up to anything certain, so you can't know that it is probable even
Wait,
on
why can't you
Hume.
use probability without necessary accounts? What?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any if you don't have any certainty of anything, how can you know it's probable? How do you know how are you certain it's probable? You see?
Well, if I take like there's an earthquake happening. If I take like a frequentist account of probability, um, then I could just say that because I'm observing it, 100 times, and my data set is only 100 rock falls. It seems likely that it will fall again on the 101th time, as long as I follow the axioms of probability theory, or just probability in general. Sorry, Kolmogov's axioms. Oh my god, I'm not sure why I would need like necessary conditions to derive this.
Yeah, I'd say also you like you you do directly perceive like causation and the necessity like at the base level with let's say a baby like rolling a ball. He is directly perceiving that his action is causing the ball to roll.
Right, but my whole point is that unless you presuppose that these axioms or that these that causal realism actually obtains, then you cannot use um, perception to confirm them, right? Because if you're using perception to confirm them, then you're just presupposing they already exist because of the fact that they have necessary conditions in reality,
Yeah,
right?
you're also using perception to like claim that there's some gap between perception and reality. How do you know about this gap? Have you observed it?
Well, I'm not claiming that there is a gap there.
All right.
All that Hume says, right, is that the necessary condition that it will fall, the ball will fall if I drop it, is not there, right? That's all he says. At least in reality, that is.
Right.
All we're observing is just the ball falling over and over again.
So do you have a position on perception? On
We can argue theories of perception. You want to go there, but you know,
yeah.
uh,
Like I'm taking the positive.
this seems
So
to me just an issue with the argument, though, because it seems to me you're presupposing these axioms. Because you mentioned
like
earlier,
so
right, that we perceive these axioms to exist, therefore we can say they exist and necessarily apply to all entities. My issue is, of course, that when you use experience to justify their application to all entities, you're abstracting from a particular into a universal, right? and that seems to me just be unable to be the case unless you already presuppose these things are already exist, which is circular, right?
Yeah, like I mean, all proof is that's like one of my points in my opening statement is reducing things to perception, and so you can't like reduce perception to something else. It is like an irreducible primary.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I can accept that. Like I think that, or I sense a octopus in front of me, or I sense this thing in front of me, is maybe a foundational belief, right? Of course, the gap is proven that there is, in fact, an octopus in front of me. I'm fine with that. That's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm also talking about is that
I wouldn't say. Yeah,
the
I wouldn't even say it's just. I mean, it is. I would say just it's knowledge. Like that's the base of knowledge. The
sense
perception that you.
perception.
Yeah, the perception. You perceive something basically.
Are you
You
like
perceive
a
it.
sensuous nominalist? Like, what are you? Is that what you are?
Oh no, not at all. I'm an objectivist, so yeah.
Right, but it seems to me you're deriving that these axioms exist empirically, like through the sense perception. Sense perception. That's what I
Yeah,
apprehended earlier.
Rand does that. That's in objectivism.
Okay. Well, yeah, Rand does that, but I don't really care if Rand does. I'm more so interested in the argument for it.
I
You get
mean,
what I'm saying earlier, though, right? Is
she's
that
the one who discovered objectivism. So
yeah? I think Rand's like a moron, honestly, but I'm more interested in the argument, right? That this perception somehow reveals these necessary conditions without presupposing necessary conditions.
all right.
If you have like an answer to that, if you don't have an answer, we can glance over it and go to my third point about theories of perception. I don't really care.
Right. I
I'm not
mean,
bad. I'm not gonna
um,
dog on you, bro.
well, I mean, it's I just sorry, I just a bit tired, but yeah. Sorry, I don't. You can push me further on that if you want. I just lost my train of thought.
It's
Sorry.
fine, bro. I don't think it'll be very productive for either of us. We can go to theories of perception then.
Sure.
Yeah. I know you mentioned earlier about what seemed like a pragmatic self-defeat argument when it came to direct realism. Could you maybe like expand upon that, or just give me the argument in general for direct realism?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So yes. So representationalism, that is like the most popular alternative. So, but the thing is with representationalism, representations have to be representations of something, and then you like end up at like arbitrary, either infinite regress or like an arbitrary stopping point. That is the argument basically.
Well, I don't mean are there? I don't think there's only two options in theories of perception: either
There is three.
representationalism
There's
or
three.
direct realism.
There's in naive
What's the other
realism
one?
too. There's
What's the difference between direct realism and naive realism?
naive realism is just copying the world into you, but direct realism is the recognition, the awareness of reality. Is not copying something. It's just seeing it in a. It's perceiving the object in a certain form.
Okay.
And the representationalist is basically they're equivocating on like the form and the object basically.
Okay.
They're like trying to say the form of perception is somehow an object that you perceive, that there's a screen inside your head, like a homunculus inside your head perceiving a screen basically. And
That's
but
fine.
then the homunculus needs to like perceive himself. He needs to have some kind of means to see
You mentioned
necessarily.
the issue I was mentioned earlier about kind of like the question begging slash circularity of what seems to be the objectivist position. It seems to be obtaining here again because if you're using a dichotomy, either P or not P, right? You're invoking something called the LEM, law of excluded middle. We've
Yeah.
already established that the law of excluded middle can only be derived from the LOI, but the LOI can only be confirmed or verified to be true, I guess, via sense perception. However, your argument for this certain theory of sense perception, which confirms it, uses the LEM. It seems to me just be a form of question begging.
Sorry, do you mean to say like the axiom of existence uses the LEM or the axiom of identity?
Well, the argument you're using here uses the LEM. You're saying either direct realism is true or representationalism is true, right? It's either P or not P. And that's the form of the LEM. A proposition is either true or false. But we've already established that the LEM is derivable. Derives from the LOI. Well, the LOI can only be quote unquote derived from sense perception, in which case direct realism. However, direct realism essentially uses the LOI, at least the variations of the LOI, to argue for itself. So I'm a bit confused there.
I'll just say, like, at the base of this, all of these are like you could seem they can seem to be like circular, but all of them are like at the base, but in different respects. So like perception, that is at the base in one sense, but also you have existence. But perception is of existence necessarily. You can have perception of nothing, or then it wouldn't be perception.
Well,
Like they sort of
I
imply
can
each other,
accept.
and
Yeah, I can accept that virtuous circularity is obtained. Maybe like an almost like a Hegelian school of thought. I know they love that, but this seems to be like a vicious circularity, and I can outline it for you in the chat if you want me to.
oh sure,
Right?
I can check that out.
I can. Well, I'll just put the kind of like my contention in the chat, so I can try and maybe show you how it's more of a vicious circularity and not a virtuous circularity.
Okay, okay. I'll just see how many watches. Oh, I think I can.
All right.
All right. From LEM is PRP. Yeah, that's the exhaustive. Yeah, either P is true or not P is true. We already established that the LEM derives from the LOI, and the LOI is only confirmed to be true via sense perception, direct realism. Um, yeah, I mean, you just perceive, like it has to be something that you perceive. So yeah, that's does presuppose direct realism. But even in, I would even say like in the all theories of perception, really, if you stretch it, like with representationalism, it has to be representations of something, right? It's
Well, okay. Well, the difference is none of those presuppose, or at least because they're not objectivist accounts of metaphysics, don't presuppose logical realism. So they escape this issue of question begging. Right? You can be like a representationalist, maybe like a logical expressivist or inferentialist, in which case there is absolutely no issue. And I would like to discuss with you on representationalism too after we get over this point.
okay, yeah. It was um I was about to say, the thing is with the other theories of perception, they kind of do the like no the other types of logic, like they are claiming something, right? Claiming something about reality. They claim to know something about reality.
Well, okay, wait, that's not true. I think the most
What are they
standard
claiming to know
position.
then? What are they claiming to know?
Well, I think the most standard position in contemporary analytic philosophy is that logic is a set of inferential relations rather than descriptions of reality. That is, they're norm governing rather than fact describing, right? So this, I don't. Like if I if I say like logic is this self-contained system, right? That it doesn't describe reality, then I don't really have this issue here, right? It doesn't to me. It's not this the type of thing that needs, um,
How can
you know,
you act
to
in
escape question
reality if you
begging.
don't know reality at all?
Well, because
That's
logic
why
isn't
we
it.
need knowledge. We need to know reality.
Well, you can have like an epistemology and be like a logical inferentialist. Like those aren't like
It's a
contradictory
stolen
positions.
concept. Like you need like epistemology is knowledge of reality. No. Sorry, that's brain fart.
But
The epistemology is the study of knowledge, but knowledge is
yeah.
knowledge of something. Like you're saying something about norms.
Well,
Sorry,
no. That doesn't presuppose logical realism, though. That's the issue I'm kind of harping on here, right? That these other things don't presuppose logical realism, what's under question. Sorry.
yeah, they don't. Well, they kind of do because they have to be. It has to be knowledge, right? That's what they're claiming. Something, right? Either not reality or something else. And how do they know it? They have to have some means of knowledge. The only
Do you think we gain
good
knowledge
starting
through
point
like
is
logic?
perception. Sorry.
Do you think we gain knowledge through like logic?
Well, knowledge is yeah, it's a tool to identify reality.
No,
So
no. I mean logic. Do you think we gain knowledge through logic?
yes, it's a method of gaining knowledge. Yes.
And do you take logic to be a set of synthetic truths or analytic truths?
Okay, so the synthetic analytic dichotomy.
Yeah. Because I just take logic to be a
No.
set
I
of
like
analytic truths.
it's both, but I also reject that
What the heck?
dichotomy.
Are
Yeah.
you like a Quinian? Why do you reject that dichotomy?
I mean, uh, I think logic covers a wide area. It covers like concept formation, inferences. Many people focus just on the inferences, and propositions. Yeah, inferences and propositions. I guess sort of the same.
Yeah, I'm just confused. Unless you're like you take propositions to be also composed of the fundamental nature of reality. How these things about propositions tell us about reality or give us knowledge of it?
Yeah, like a basic proposition is subsuming a concept under another concept. Basically, that's what a proposition does.
Well, what about the proposition all bachelors are unmarried?
Uh, yeah.
I'm just saying all P
So
are
like
P.
you know that
That's just a
you
law of
have
identity.
if you have a concept of bachelor, like yeah, I agree with in one sense with I guess the
Well,
analytic thing there, like you already
I,
know that they are
I
like
just don't know what it
unmarried.
means for logic to be synthetic because all that proposition is that's saying that all P are P. That's just the LOI. Like, it seems to me that all laws of logic are just
One
analytic
part of
truths.
logic is concept formation though. So like you to do
Wait,
concept
what part of
formation
logic is that?
like that. Okay,
I,
that. Okay, so like Ayn
I'm not
Rand's
familiar with
logic.
that like school.
Right. I know. Ayn Rand's logic is not is much wider. That's like she builds things from the ground up. So she starts with concept formation in logic. So concept formation is basically there's two or more units that are subsumed under like yeah, mental integration.
Okay,
Uh,
but just to be clear, before we go over that, all right, we can go over that. I'm fine because we're good faith and everything. But it just seems to me you did not address this question about game point yet, which seems to be a major issue with your argument.
okay.
I
What's
put it in
the?
the chat. We kind of skimmed over it.
All right,
Right.
right.
All this being said is right. Direct realism is the way we know the LOI. However, the argument for direct realism presupposes the LOI. So it's just question begging. Right. Or is it
Uh,
circular? I forgot one
you,
honestly, but it's one of those two. Let's just say circular.
like they both. Yeah, I mean, it is. It can. It's not a vicious circularity, I would say. Don't actually know actually how to like how is it really
Want me to explain it? Well, I
vicious
mean,
or yeah.
a vicious circularity is just saying x justified by x, right? Now, direct realism is justified by the LOI, but the LOI is justified by direct realism. It's just X justifying X there. Or sorry,
Yeah,
X.
I would just say both are at the base. So like you don't have to use one to prove the other necessarily. They just you
But
just
that's not what you
gain it
said
directly
earlier.
from perception.
That's kind of what I was harping on, right? Because earlier you said that the LOI, we confirm it when we were talking about Hume, is confirmed through direct, like a account of direct realism. Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like it's one whole process. Like when you perceive, you're saying like I am, like you're not saying, but you're what you're doing is you are, in quotes, I am aware of something in particular. That's what you're doing when you are perceiving something. So that's includes both consciousness of the consciousness and existence and identity.
You can be aware of something like which isn't part of reality, though, right? In which case you can. I don't know. I'm not sure what this has to do with addressing the
Sorry,
question
what
begging
can you
aspect.
be aware of something that isn't in reality? An example? Do you have an example?
Like if I think in my head, maybe of like a ghost.
Like ghosts?
I don't think ghosts are part of reality, unless you can say my concept of a ghost is derived from reality.
Uh, yeah. Okay. So like, I'd say, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can be aware of ideas and abstractions too. But yeah, and I wouldn't even say those exist as such.
Like could be aware of like sentences or like syntax, like indexicals, that sort of thing. That doesn't match reality at all. That's just a complete. That's like a category. If I did, I can still be aware of them.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Okay, I have to think about that. I'm sure there's an answer,
Okay,
but I don't have one right now. Sorry.
it's not an Ayn Rand, bro. Trust me. But anyways, we can go to the. If you can't address this question begging thing, then it's fine. We can go to something else, I guess. You had an argument earlier against representationalism. Could you please expand on that a bit more?
Um, the one on infinite regress.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like if it if sorry, I'm I slept badly tonight.
you're good, bro.
Um, yeah. So if it's perception of if you're perceiving representations of something, uh representation has to be representative of something, but how do you know that, right? So like either it has to be like an arbitrary stopping point there, or it has to be like infinite regress, that you're perceiving perceptions that perceive perceptions, etc.
What would be the issue with like an infinite regress? It seems to me it's to model like epistemic infinitism, which I'm not aware of any immediate errors with that.
Okay, I can actually prove why infinity as such cannot exist. um so numbers are something in particular. But if you say something is infinite, uh, you're saying a number is infinite, then you're saying that is like so. Okay. I can just actually do it like mathematically to you, just in chat for you. So you have infinity. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I can just say infinity plus 1 is equal to infinity. You cancel out the infinities, you have 1 equals 0. That's a contradiction.
Keep it down the chat, please.
Yeah, okay. And okay.
This also does the same issue I mentioned earlier, where it presupposes the LNC, but it's fine. We can ignore that. Infinity plus 1 equal infinity. 1 equals 0.
Yeah. So you cancel out the infinities, and you have 1 equals 0. That's a contradiction. So like that's what happens if you treat infinity as a number. You can't do that. It doesn't work. And
How would I be
it's
treating? Well, all I'm presumably saying by epistemic infinitism is that there's a potential infinite amount of justifications, right, for the proposition.
what do you mean? What?
All epistemic infinitism says that it doesn't have to be like an actual case, but there potentially could be an infinite number of justifications for the justification or for the proposition, right? Because if you say like there's like
would you know that? Like,
well, I'm just saying that there doesn't seem to me like a contradiction in that. That's kind of like
what were
because
you?
you're the one
Why
arguing
did
it's
you bring
impossible,
up
right?
epistemic infinitism again? Sorry, I haven't
Well, I
slept.
just use it as a model for because it seemed to me to resemble representational. Like the issue with representational is to be posited, right? And that each representation is to be justified by another representation, right? That's kind of a similar model with when it comes to epistemic infinitism, which like each justification or each proposition which justifies the other one goes on or potentially extends infinitely. Right? What I'm asking is, like, what's the issue with that?
Like it could be a vicious circle out if you're not reducing it to some irreducible primary. I think that's something I needed to bring up earlier. Irreducible
You can
primaries.
use vicious circularities, but I can't. Okay, but
No,
wait,
no, no.
hold
Like
on.
I mean,
Wait,
you have to have something to reduce it to. Like
why?
that can't be reduced more. Otherwise, you're just that is
That seems to just
question
be
begging, as you say.
presupposing.
As I say.
Well, that seems to just be presupposing you're what you take a like what infinity can and cannot do into my framework. Right? I'm asking like why does it need that foundation? Why does it need to be reduced? Right? That's kind of
Uh,
the whole point. Like infinite regress arguments for like the universe, right? Like why does it need a foundation?
why do you believe something if you have no reason to believe it? Like a reason would be
Are you like an
something
infallibilist
reducible.
on epistemology?
No, no, no. I hold that humans are fallible, and that's why we need logic. We need a method of reason.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think my understanding of epistemic and infallibility just goes that the belief must be 100% justified, or maybe that, um, like if we want to represent it probabilistically, it's 1 or 0 on the prior probability. Um, it
Hundred
seems to me that's
percent
what you're.
in respect to
It
what? Like
seems to
it
me.
is like I mean either it is justified or is not. I'd say. But
Well,
like you can assign probabilities like higher up in like the chain.
that's
Like
just a way of understanding it. Because when you said like it has to be justified, or else what's the point believing in it? As it seemed like to me, you said.
yeah, like it
Um,
has to be justified in some sense. Like just
Well,
like
yeah, but you're invoking like a foundational justification here, right? Because like, you think that, at least what it seems to me, you think the knowledge has to be certainly grounded, which is like an epistemic
I mean,
infallibilist
that's why I
position.
mean the debate though. Like I mean that like we are trying to we are trying to prove our positions, and to prove you need to reduce it to something else. Otherwise, it's not a proof. Like I don't.
That's I can be agnostic on the position. I think we already clarified this. I'm agnostic on objectivism and logical realism. Um, but the kind of whole point, like an epistemic infantist position, right, is to avoid that. That they accept that they're fallible, that they're fallibilistic, right? They don't need to have 100% proof. You're the one invoking the infallibilism, right? We need to
No, no, no.
prove it beyond any shadow of a doubt.
Like I hold that we are fallible, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't strive to attain certainty. And
Do you think our
also,
perceptions are fallible?
no, actually not. I think
What's the difference there?
okay. So like conceptual judgment, that is fallible. But perception is not. Perception is the base. So I hold the primacy of perception. The
How do you
perception.
know your sense faculties are reliable?
Uh, yeah. I mean, okay, so like the reliability, like what are you like everything. The point is everything has to be reduced to something if you like to to prove it. That's the point.
That doesn't
And
prove they're reliable. Like that can prove that they maybe generate images, right? And these images have a sense of continuity to them. It doesn't prove one they're reliable at accurately capturing what's really going on in reality. Like, that doesn't prove that. I'm just confused there because you say you're not like an infallibilist, but then you say you are an infallibilist when it comes to perceptions. I that seems like an
yeah,
opposition
like
to
I
me.
just say like I hold that perception is the given. I think like if you probe me enough, I kind of come to the argument, but like it's like, but yeah, so like
Well, that's kind of what I'm gonna do. Right.
good. So yeah. Yeah, you can just ask question if you want.
Well, so you're like a foundationalist on knowledge, right? You're going to say that these perceptions um, are foundational justifications, and maybe like in their denial, are you like a, or maybe you call it like a hinge epistemologist, where you say like there are certain pragmatic or paradigmatically necessary things that we have to assume in order, to talk about the world.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say just it's just assumption. It's just it's what we are given at the base, and everything else is just ideas we build on top of it, like abstractions, to
This
like
seems to me to defeat your argument.
yeah. So we have a crow epistemology, and that's why we need abstractions to like
But what I meant
understand
by was
larger
more
things.
so that if you're saying that we have to conform knowledge to our pragmatic and conceptual schemas, you're saying that knowledge is a tool, right, to gain at
Yeah,
things
yeah, I agree with
rather
you.
than
It is a
yeah,
tool, but it's not
yeah.
like an arbitrary tool.
The issue is how do we know this tool captures reality?
Well,
Like
I would say
I would hold on, just real
it's
quick.
I
I
would
can
say it's
agree that
given
like maybe
in
like
I
I
would
can
say it's
agree that maybe like that assuming that our sense perceptions are accurate for the sake of talking to my fellow human beings like in a colloquial manner or like a um common sense manner can obtain, but like that doesn't mean that they're actually doing it, right?
like
There's a difference
what would
between
it
those two
even
statements.
mean for it to be like uh fallible? What would that even mean?
That the
Fallible
sense
perception.
perceptions don't accurately capture reality, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe that like our
Like
I
what
forgot
does
what
that
part of the
even what does that
brain
even
does
mean?
perception. Let me look up what part of the brain deals with perception real quick.
Well,
I want to give an example.
that assumes like
All right,
a
like the
certain
occipital lobe, right?
like
Presumably,
that assumes a certain cognitive theory. I'm more into ecological psychology, but I'm not like good at it. But
do you think if you
just so you
removed
know,
your occipital lobe, you'd still be able to have sense perceptions? Like you'd still be able to see things? Or just sorry,
I I mean, uh, it depends. Like if I would like suddenly die, if you did that, no. But
let's say like in a hypothetical scenario, we have medical
like my
technology.
I hold that your whole body, like your consciousness, is like of your whole body in respect to something that you are aware of. And that's
I don't know what that means. Okay,
li-
the
like
question all I'm
like
asking is right is if because you asked me what would it mean for perceptions to be fallible, right? Now, if those perceptions are processed through the occipital lobe, what I'm more so asking you is if we remove the occipital oh my god occipital lobe, would we still have like vision and images? And assuming you just stay
that's the
alive during this
one in the
process.
back, right? That's the one with vision.
Yeah, it's the one that deals with like senses, or sorry, vision.
Yeah, yeah, but like I also hold you perceive with touch, you perceive with sound, etc. And I also hold that you also like perceive in the body parts that you're perceiving with too, like but together with your body, like as a whole system. You
Okay,
can't
so if all those
reduce it to the
parts were
brain.
damaged, if all parts of the sensory faculties were damaged, your nose is damaged, your mouth, your taste buds have been scraped off, and all the pain receptors, all the nerve like receptors in your body is all been scraped off.
Hmm.
Would you still have sense perception? Presumably not, right?
Like I wouldn't even say you were alive then. Like how would that thing be
Why would you
alive if I've
biologically not be alive? Your heart's still pumping, your brain's still active, maybe like in a damaged way, still active though.
ah
I think it still satisfies like the biological definition of life.
like with like
I can look up to make sure.
it needs like sensory, like it needs some way to communicate with the heart, like well, I don't know how to say, but
Why would it need that? No.
uh sorry, I've never thought about that before. That's very interesting. I need to think about.
All I'm trying to get at here, right, is that if we can say that if you removed every faculty for sense perception, then you would not have sense perception. Presumably, then there is a counterfactual dependency on these biological processes. Now, if these biological processes are not uniform, maybe they can get damaged, or they're just biological processes. They can interfere with the sense perception such that we're fallible about perceptions now. Perceptions could fail to capture reality. If you take LSD and you hallucinate, an octopus on
Oh,
your
okay. I would
each
say
encounter, right?
like yeah, like if you have no way of sensing, like if you grant that, then of course you fail to perceive reality, of course, because you have no
Uh,
means anymore to perceive. But I'm talking
okay,
about
so
senses that misrepresent reality in some way. How does that even make
okay,
sense?
so this is a supervenience relation, right? Basically, all a supervenience relation is x supervenes on y if for a change in x to occur, a change in y must occur. Maybe like atoms supervene on subatomic particles such that
What
for a
is supervene? I have never heard of the word before.
it just means okay, I'll give you an example and I'll explain it,
Okay.
right? Um, atoms supervene on subatomic particles if for a change in atoms to happen, a change in subatomic particles must happen, right? It's not the other way around. Subatomic particles must change first, must to go through something for their larger counterpart, atoms to change, right? It's like a order of relations kind of. So
Right.
for something to change, its more fundamental part must change. Now, if sense perception supervenes on the biological processes for sense for like the sensuous faculties, right? Like vision,
Mhm.
taste, feel, etc., or touch, etc.
Mhm.
Um, then they're dependent on these biological processes, such that if the biological processes um, incur some sort of damage or just aren't working well for whatever reason, then the sense perceptions would fail and maybe misaccurately represent reality, or if they maybe have some sort of external substance like LSD could entail hallucinations. This is only to justify when you ask me how could perceptions be fallible, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
understand.
all. This is just an example for that. So it seems to me it's pretty trivial that it could be fallible. I'm not exactly,
I wouldn't say even like LSD miscaptures like it is um so like even is damaged and like and such like there's an object in reality that and you have a form of being aware of that object. That's basically what
okay,
sense of
if
rhythm
you're on
and
LSD
and
and an
if
octopus
yeah.
appears in front of you in your encounter, what object in reality are you aware of?
No, that's just that's some internal things happening to your body and like there is something going on there. There's a cause and effect relationship, and you're aware of that cause and effect relationship basically from an
If you're on
internal.
LSD, you're not even. I don't know if you're aware on LSD. I've never been on LSD honestly, but I would presume if you're on enough of it, you probably aren't aware. Um, the whole point though is that
Yeah,
the
but it would
perceptual
also
faculties can be fallible, right?
no, I don't see that. No, it's not fallible. You just perceive in a different form. It's like degraded when you have LSD, right?
Okay, so they're you said they're degraded, so they're fallible. They can
No,
operate
it
inefficiently. They
degraded
cannot.
like in a sense like okay, you have a colorblind person that is degraded from like a regular person, but he's not. It's not fallible perception. He just doesn't distinguish certain colors. That's just what he does,
What do
right?
you take fallible to mean? Just to be like absolutely clear.
Uh, wrong about something.
Okay, so if
Like,
someone's
what
like
does it even mean to be wrong when you're just perceiving reality? Like, wrong is in respect
I
to
could just take
reality.
wrong to be like it doesn't correspond to reality. It's some sort of like correspondence relation. But let's give an example. If I will go back to the LSD thing. If the guy's on LSD, is it wrong for him to say if an octopus appears in front of him that there is in fact in reality an octopus in front of him?
No, because he presumably he knows that he took LSD, or maybe he doesn't because he's so spaced out.
Presume he doesn't.
Yeah. So that would be a conceptual error if he concluded that it was a.
Well, that's the exa-
There's not
well,
so that you
that's
see. There's
well,
no
it's a
perceptual.
conceptual error. It's a conceptual error to make the inference, maybe, but the
Yeah.
basis of that inference is on the sensuous faculties.
Yes. That's true.
Okay, so the sensuous faculties made an error
It's
and
like
failed then.
but like perception involves both the body and the environment, the organism and the environment. So
I don't know
but
how that addresses what I said.
this has more. You're changing the organism, right? Um, so it's still the same relationship, right? And yeah,
Right, but the faculty failed. Right, it misrepresented something. it's fallible. I don't know what's
No, I don't. Sorry,
this is.
I
I'm
can't. I
not
can't.
sure what your issue is here with this. Right. Well, obviously I know your issue is with it, but I'm not sure what you're not getting here. It seems to be rather easy to comprehend.
Okay. Um. No, sorry. I don't. You. Sorry. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's just don't have the answers, I guess. Sorry.
All right, it's fine. I think that's all 4 more points, and that's it. And I think the debate's over.
Okay,
Just
thank you. Do you want to debate again later in a few weeks, maybe, or something? Or about something else?
yeah, sure. Yeah, this server you're in, by the way, the ZZ server. How do
Yeah.
you get an invite to that?
Okay, so Zulu, the guy, he's on YouTube. He sometimes
Yeah,
uploads.
his friend told me I was supposed to debate him, and I added Zulu on Discord. He never added me back.
Ah, okay. I'll just tell him to go debate you because he has a requirement of like his opponents having debated someone at least a few times, I guess, and you seem to have done that. So I'll
How
just tell
good
him, and
how good are you in that community, would you say?
I would say medium.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm the best, and I wouldn't say I'm the worst either. Um,
You're better than the ANCAP and the video of the guy debated.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that poor guy,
I
bro.
think it's cool. It's just I've told him to read a certain book that I read on epistemology, and yeah, I mean he's new to it, you know, so
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. All right.
so yeah, I'll try and notify Zulu about it, and then you can.
Thanks. I don't have to debate him immediately, right? I can just join the server and debate another few people in there. Then maybe if he
Yeah,
wants to, he
I'll
can
tell
debate
him
me.
to try to join you to the server and see if he accepts that.
All right,
But
cool.
if not, like he uploads some videos sometimes, and when he does, he will have Discord link open for like a week maybe, and you can
All
find
right,
it in
bet.
like the comments or something.
Thanks. All right. I'll see you, bro. Good debate. You did good.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
That was that. It went kind of as I expected. Uh, because I was very sleepy. Probably would have been better if I wasn't, but I think it's okay. Yeah, I mean, it could have done much better, I guess. Yes, does that